Hey Tommy. So that was a recording of our viewing party watching the series finale of Breaking Bad, which I'm sure you knew was last night if you just interacted with a human being today. The series finale ended the show's 5-year run and was watched by over 10 million viewers. By the way, did you know that there was a minor league baseball player that was literally named 10 Million? He played in the Northwestern League from 1911 to 1914, but his career was tragically cut short by a knee injury. I used to be a grand adventurer, and then I took a baseball to the knee. But over 10 million views for Breaking Bad, which makes it the most watched episode in basic cable history. Of course, the overall record is still held by The Sopranos, but Breaking Bad seems to be the most popular show ever on television since The Sopranos, so you have to ask the question, where does it rank all time? Some people are calling it the best show ever created, and I really wouldn't go as far. I definitely love the first 3 or 4 seasons, as we slowly got to see Walt descend from a pitied hero to the villain. But I feel like in the last season especially, the show's writing definitely took a step down in quality and started to cater more to the fans. The plot started becoming a little too predictable. There seemed to be a heavy reliance on deus ex machina and situational irony that were otherwise not as prevalent in the first few seasons. That being said, the show is shot incredibly well, and I don't think I've seen a better show that has a greater sense of place and puts the viewer in the scene as much as Breaking Bad does. And the show is definitely strengthened by the performances of Bryan Cranston, Aaron Paul, and Anna Gunn. But I don't know, when we came right down to the end, I think I just wanted it to be over. I'm certainly going to miss Walter White, but I don't know if I'm going to actually miss the show. In a way, I think that Breaking Bad is a lot like The West Wing in its rewriting of the convention of what network cable television can be, and I think this is a very significant thing. But I just wish from a narrative standpoint that it stayed true to its roots instead of perhaps catering too much to its fan base at the end and becoming more of a commercial product rather than a critical product. Now, I don't really mean to take anything away from the series. I think it's amazing that over 10 million people wanted to share in this journey together, and the discourse it generated was fantastic. I'd much rather everyone talking about Breaking Bad and the symbols and what the colors mean, and is Walt going to do this or is Walt going to do that, and what that means for the character as we go forward, rather than talking about, say, Jersey Shore or Honey Boo Boo. While I may not be the show's biggest fan, I do recognize the end of the show as a loss. And now I, as am, I'm sure, with 10 million other people, we don't really know what to watch from here. However, I will say that Netflix is in a great place to play a significant role in the future of television moving forward. 2 of the 4 shows they've launched in this past year, House of Cards and The Orange is the New Black, have been very well received this year. House of Cards itself receiving numerous Emmy nominations. Furthermore, I think it's interesting that Netflix has gotten rid of the serialization of cable television by posting the entire season on Netflix at one time. I think this is a great thing for writers of television, as it doesn't hamstring them into always creating this cliffhanger to keep viewers watching week to week. Instead, they can worry about generating a narrative across the season. Furthermore, I think if television trends towards this new Netflix model of delivering TV shows to an audience, I think we can see a general increase in the quality of the narrative and the quality of our television. There seems to be a trend in network television now where producers feel like they need to have these outrageous budgets and these grand spectacles. Revolution comes to mind, and the narrative kind of loses itself in this spectacle and this serialization, and just trying to keep the viewer's eyeballs glued to the screen for the entire episode. And in a growing ADD world, I suppose I can see the appeal in that method, but what Breaking Bad proved, you don't need an outrageous budget or outrageous landscapes or visual or special effects to communicate a story that speaks to millions of people. And I think, at the very least, that will be the true legacy of Breaking Bad. So now that Breaking Bad's over, what do you watch now? As I've already mentioned, House of Cards, I think, is probably going to be the best show on television moving forward. Orange is the New Black, well-received Netflix series. You and I are both very big fans of Suits, and that show just seems to keep getting better and better. Unfortunately, it's on the USA Network, so I don't know if it's ever going to be completely taken as seriously as it should. Of course, if you can't find a TV show to watch, you can always read a book, because I hear they're pretty good. That brings us to your question to me on Friday. On Friday, you asked about the passage in The Art of Fielding. Short shifted his gaze to the scoreboard in right field. There it was, plain as day, that green light winking in the distance beneath the letter E. Somebody said a few words over the loudspeaker announcing the end of Henry's streak. The whole crowd, including the scouts and the players from both teams, rose as one and began to applaud. So, yeah, Gatsby. I think what's interesting about Chad Harbach's The Art of Fielding is you can read it as another version of the unrealized American dream. And in this case, The unrealized dream is becoming a professional ball player, which is something that you and I can definitely relate to. And if you know anything about baseball, you know that the E represents errors, and you know that errors are never tracked by a blinking green light, they're tracked by a number. So it was obviously definitely deliberate on Harbach's part. I think it's a very nice detail that he puts it under the E because Scrimshander up until this point is a perfectionist and prides himself on his perfectionism both on and off the field. And it is this point that the story certainly starts to unravel. Speaking of baseball, the MLB postseason is upon us. I have the Cardinals beating the Red Sox in 6. Who you got? I'll see you on Wednesday.